Hello students, in this lecture 12 of calculus of variation, we are discussing the generalization of Euler equation with application. We have already discussed certain generalizations in the lecture 11. So in this case, we are going to discuss a functional involving two independent variables, how that Euler equation will be transformed in this case, and certain solved examples, numerical examples, then exercises. Also, in this lecture, we are going to discuss a functional in parametric form and the related Euler equation. We'll solve some numerical example and then some exercise will be given there. Moreover, we also solve some isoparametric problems concerning generalized form of the functional. So some example related to isoparametric problems and unsolved exercise also given. So you see, first of all, we are discussing the functionals involving two dependent variables. So you can see, suppose you have a functional in this form f x y z, curly z by curly x, curly z by curly y. That means here z is depending on two variables x and y. So in such a situation, how will we obtain the functional, or the how will we obtain the extremal of this functional? Suppose the extremal of this functional definitely will be z in the form of two variables x and y. So suppose z equal to zxy gives the extremal. Basically, this is extremal of this functional 1 in the domain D. This is extremal of the functional 1 in the domain D. Then the Euler equation in this case reduces to this form. We are skipping the proof here. You can directly remember it for numerical point of view, that this is the Euler equation in this type of situation when functional is given in this form. And this equation is also known as Euler-Ostrogradesky equation. Now you see, in this functional 1, we were having z as a function of two variables x and y, and the first order derivatives were present over here. Now what happens if this functional involve derivatives of higher order, suppose derivatives up to order 2? The situation is like that. The functional is in this form. Z is function of x and y here. X and y are independent variables. First order derivatives curly z by curly x, curly z over curly y, and the three second order partial derivatives of z with respect to x and y. So now if functional is given in this form, in that situation, the relevant Euler-Ostrogradesky equation is given by this equation. This is the Euler-Ostrogradesky equation in this case, where P stands for curly z by curly x, Q stands for this, R is this, S is this, and T is curly z over curly y square. Now we have one solved example in this case. Suppose find the extremal of the surfaces of the functional given by this. So in this case, you can see that there is an involvement of first order partial derivatives of z with respect to the variables x and y. So this is the case, first case here. So functional can be put in this form. Curly z by curly x can be written as z subscript x. So z subscript x square. Similarly, this is z subscript y square. Now this is the functional now. So you can see, when this is the functional, the Euler-Ostrogradesky equation in this case reduces to this form, fz. Here fz is nothing but partial derivative of capital F with respect to z. So Euler-Ostrogradesky equation in this case is given by equation 2 here. So we have f is this, zx square plus zy square. Now fz means partial derivative of f with respect to z is this, because in this there is no involvement of z, so partial derivative of f with respect to z is 0. Similarly, curly f by curly zx means partial derivative of x with respect to zx. So the whole z subscript x will be treated as a variable over here, and everything else will be treated as constant. So the partial derivative of f with respect to zx is equal to 2zx. Exactly in the same manner, curly f by curly zy equal to 2zy means partial derivative of f with respect to zy is 2zy. Now substituting all these values in equation 2, we obtain equation in this form. So 2 is constant, you can take it outside and that it will cancel out over here, and what we are left with, curly z by curly x, zx. Now basically what is zx? Zx is partial derivative of z with respect to x. Similarly here, zy is partial derivative of z with respect to y. So now it becomes the second order derivative. So you can write this equation in this form. Actually, this is minus here. Here, this is again minus sign. So minus is taken outside. So the equation is in this form: curly square z over curly x square plus curly square z over curly y square equal to 0. Right, this is equation number 3. So next you can see the solution of the partial differential equation 3, this equation 3 gives you the value of z. And what is z? Z is the extremal for this functional. Value of z gives the extremal for this functional. So you can say the solution of partial differential equation 3 gives the extremal for of the functional one. We observe that equation 3 is the Laplace equation and can be written as del square z equal to 0, where del square is this operator. So when a function satisfies the Laplace equation, that function is called a harmonic function. That function is a harmonic function. So from here we can say this functional is not having a unique solution, but it can have many solutions. So any value of z or any function z which is harmonic function of two variables will satisfy this equation, and therefore this particular functional have many solutions. So z must be a harmonic function here. Thus we conclude that every harmonic function z is an extremal of the functional one. So this is about this first illustrative example. Now we see the second one. In second case, we are given, you have to find the extremal of this functional. You write this functional as I of z equal to partial derivative is, you can write zx, zy square, this one, and 2z f of xy. Again, in this case, the Euler equation is this one. Now we have kept f is equal to zx square, zy square, 2z fxy. Now what is this fz? Fz means partial derivative of f with respect to z. So if you take partial derivative of f with respect to z, we get this 2 fxy. Similarly, partial derivative with respect to zx gives you this thing, and curly f by curly zy again equal to 2zy. Now what we do? We have to substitute all these values in equation 2. In equation 2, we'll substitute all these values. So after substitution, we get this form. And after simplification, we can write in this form. And this type of equation is called a Poisson equation. So as in case of the first example, you can say that the extremal of the functional one are the solutions of the Poisson equation. So whatever function z of two variables satisfies this equation will be an extremal for this functional in this case. So here is one exercise having certain problems, numerical problems you can solve. So here definitely there is involvement of higher order derivatives. So you have to apply this Euler equation, this one, equation number 3, you have to apply for the first problem. So you try this exercise. The next is Euler equation for functional in parametric form. First of all, you should know what is parametric form. You can see any curve can be put, because in Cartesian form In Cartesian form, if you have any curve, then you can write the equation of curve in this form. For example, you have a circle. Suppose circle is at center, having at origin, and let radius is a. Then the equation of this circle can be written as x square plus y square equal to a square, or you can write y equal to a square minus x square under root plus minus, right? So this is the equation of circle in Cartesian form, but the same equation can be put in parametric form. How? If I write x is equal to a cos t and y equal to a sin t, that means x is function of a parameter t and y is function of a parameter t. So if you square and add, you again get x square y square equal to a square. So that means this is an alternate representation of the same equation x square y square equal to a square. Means you have expressed the coordinate x in terms of the parameter t, and similarly the coordinate y in terms of parameter t. So this type of expression of a curve is called parametric form. Parametric form. So now here we have to deal with a functional which have involvement of a single parameter. That means all the variables have been expressed in terms of a single parameter. So how we express such a functional? You know, the basic functional is this. Now if you have x equal to xt, x as a function of parameter t, y as a parameter of function t, then this equation can be reduced to this form. So I'm not going to discuss the proof here how it comes to this form, but you should remember it over here. And here this x dot means the derivative of x with respect to t, y dot means derivative of y with respect to t. And the Euler equation in for this type of functional are these two: curly f by curly x minus d by dt curly f by curly x dot, the first equation, and similarly for y the second equation. These are the Euler's equation in parametric form. So now we discuss one solved numerical example over here. Find the extremal of a functional ixy given by this integral between the limits a to b x dot square plus y dot square dt, where x dot is this and y dot is this. So you see f equal to this thing, and you find the value of curly f by curly x, that is 0, y is again 0, curly f by curly x dot is this quantity, and then similarly curly f or curly y dot is this quantity. Substituting these values in the relevant Euler equations 3 and 4 that we are given over here, you substitute the values in these equations, so we obtain this kind of situation, because in every case in both of the situations this curly f by curly x is 0 here, curly f by curly y is 0, so the first part in both the equation is 0, so we are left with the second part only, and the second part is nothing but this d by dt equal to this 0, imply because the derivative with respect to t is 0, so the whole thing is equal to constant, we are equating it to, let this is constant a, and similarly in the second case that is constant b. Therefore from equation 5 and 6 we have, because actually we want to find the extremal of a functional, and that functional have two variables, one is dependent, another is independent. If y is dependent and x is independent variable, then there should be, the solution should be in term as a y as a function of x, right? So from after solving these two equations, our main aim is to find some function y in terms of x. So how we can do it? If we divide equation 6 by equation 5, we get y dot by x dot, and in right hand side we have b by a. But what is meaning of y dot? Y dot means dy by dt, and x dot means, what is meaning of x dot? X dot means dx by dt, b by a. Now by chain rule of the differentiation, you can say that this dy by dt or dx by dt can be written as dy by dx, and this is equal to b by a. Now separating the variables, integrating both sides, we get this type of equation after solution. After solving or after taking integral, we can again reduce it to this form. Now you put this variable equal to something and the next variable equal to something. So let you say this b by a equal to c1 and c by a equal to c2. So the solution is y equal to c1x c2, which is equation of a straight line. Therefore, the extremal for this functional, which is given in the parametric form, is a straight line. Now this is one unsolved exercise which you can try. Show that the functional ixy a to b 2x x dot square y dot square dt such that the boundary conditions are given. This is 1.5 is stationary for x equal to this and y equal to this. Means when you find the extremal, then you will obtain x equal to this and y equal to this. So we try this exercise. The next is isoperimetric problem concerning generalized form of functionals. In our earlier lecture regarding the isoperimetric problem, we have considered only the situation that we are given a functional iy in this form f(x, y dash) dx with certain boundary conditions are given. Y at a is suppose something a, y at b is equal to b, and boundary condition are given, and one constraint was also given, and constraint was also in the similar form that g of x y y dash equal to some k. So that was the constraint. So that was the case we have already discussed for the isoperimetric problem, where there was the involvement of first derivative and y as a function of x. Now we have already discussed certain generalizations of this form, either involvement of higher order derivatives and sometimes involvement more than two dependent variables, and lastly we have discussed the involvement of two independent variables. So in this case the Euler equation takes different form. So accordingly this isoperimetric problem also assumes different methodology of solutions. So in this case we are considering the case where the functional involves second order derivative. So y double dash, over here boundary conditions are given and a constant is given, but methodology will remain same. The construction of the new functional will remain same. The only thing will change is the Euler equation. So in this case the functional is this y double dash integral between the limit 0 to pi y double dash square, and the constant in this and the boundary conditions are already there in the statement. So using these we solve this isoperimetric problem. The first step is the construction of a functional. So I consider here this as iy and this part as jy. So construct the functional in this form iy plus lambda jy, where lambda is undetermined constant. So ky can be written as integral 0 to pi y double dash square plus lambda y square dx. Now we take here f as y double dash square plus lambda y square. The Euler, because there is involvement of in this f involvement of second order derivatives, so the Euler equation in this case, as we have already discussed in the earlier generalizations, will be the Euler equation will be curly f over curly y minus d by dx, this thing and this thing. Means you have to compute all values of curly f or curly y dash, curly f or curly y dash here, and this one. So we simplify this. Since we are having f is this, partial derivative with respect to y, this partial derivative of f with respect to y dash, partial derivative of f with respect to y double dash is this. Now substituting all these values in the Euler's equation, the Euler equation reduces to this form. Now y double dash stands for second derivative with respect to y. Now after simplification we have fourth order derivative plus this lambda y and this one. Now we are going to solve this equation 4. This equation 4 in symbolic form can be written in this way. Now here the auxiliary equation will be this one. Now from the point of view of the simplification, let us substitute this lambda as minus of alpha 4, where alpha is any constant to be determined. So we say d4 minus alpha 4. Now it becomes a formula of the form a square minus b square, because if you have the formula a square minus b square, that can be written as a minus b into a plus b. You can write it. So applying this formula, so this is basically in the form d square square minus alpha square square. So basically this as a and this as b. So you write it as is a plus b and a minus b. That is how we get this equation. Now after simplifying we get d is plus minus alpha, and from here plus minus alpha iota, as we are assuming that alpha is greater than 0. Even if you are assuming it as less than 0, even then one of these part will be giving you complex roots and another will give you the real roots. So in this way, corresponding to the real roots, the solution is c1 e raised to power alpha x plus d e raised to c e raised to power alpha x d e raised to power minus alpha x. And for these complex roots corresponding to this part of the solution is this. Now in the boundary conditions, what we are given, look at the boundary conditions. We are given y at 0, y at pi, y double dash at 0, y double dash at pi. So in order to apply the boundary conditions, after obtaining the value of y, we have to obtain value of y double dash. So y is this, differentiating 5 with respect to x, we get y dash is this. Again differentiating with respect to x, we get the second order derivative, that is y double dash, and y double dash is given here in equation number 7 after the final simplification. So now we come to the boundary conditions, due to which we are going to obtain the value of the arbitrary constants a, b, c and d. Once we obtain the value of these arbitrary constants a, b, c and d, that will be the final solution or the extremal of the functional. So y at 0, y at pi, y double dash at 0, y double dash, all are 0. So simplifying this, it's very simple calculation. Put x equal to 0 in equation 5, we get this type of the situation. Y at 0 is this. So a plus c plus d equal to 0. This is 8. Similarly, when we put x equal to 0 in 7, in equation number 7, we get y double dash 0 equal to this quantity. But y double dash is 0, so we are putting 0. So alpha cannot be 0, so only thing is this 0. So from 8 and 9, if we add these, we get twice of c plus d 0, so d is minus c. But you are also having c plus d equal to 0 and substitute over here. So you get a equal to 0. So here we have obtained d equal to minus c and a equal to 0. Yes. Now from 5 and 6, now after obtaining these values of constants, equation number 5 and 6 can be written as this. Because a is already 0, the part will be omitted, and in place of d you are going to write here minus c. So that becomes, equation 5 becomes this, and equation basically this is equation 7, you can say. Yes, equation number 7 can be written in this form. Now put x equal to pi in 10, so we get this equation number 12, and when we put x equal to pi in 11, we get this equation 13. Now from equation 12 and 13, if we add, we get this thing. Now there are two situations, either c will be 0 or this the part in the bracket will be 0. It cannot be 0, because if you take it 0, that becomes equal to 1, and it can happen only when the part given over here is 0. That means if alpha equal to 0, if alpha equal to 0, then what will happen? If alpha equal to 0, then what will happen? you can see the solution in this case, alpha equal to 0, solution in this case becomes 0, sine 0 is 0, and alpha 0 here will give you the 1, 1, c minus c will be cancelled out, and y equal to 0. So we cannot consider this case, so we will consider that c equal to 0. So now if c equal to 0, then d will be 0, because we have already obtained that d equal to minus c. In this way, so far we have obtained the following things. Number 1, a is 0, c is 0, d is 0. Therefore, equation number 5 can be written as like this: y equal to b sine alpha x. Again, there are two things which you have to determine. One is alpha and another is b. Both are unknown. So now if you put y of pi equal to, because this is one of the boundary condition, that y pi equal to 0, it gives you y pi, and in right hand side if you write sine in place of x pi, you are getting b sine alpha pi, and y pi is 0, so in left hand side 0. So now there are two situations, either b0 or sine alpha pi is 0. Again, if you take b0, again you are getting the solution y equal to 0. So we are not considering this case. So you take sine alpha pi equal to 0. But you know, whenever in a trigonometric formula, when you have sine theta equal to 0, then theta equal to n pi, where n is an integer, right? So using this formula, alpha pi equal to n pi, pi goes with pi, so alpha equal to n, where n is an integer. Now from 14, y becomes b sine nx. Now it's equation number 15. Now the last thing which you have to evaluate is the value of b. And how to evaluate this value of b? To calculate the value of this arbitrary constant b, we use the constraint given in equation number 2. Equation 2 is what? Y integral 0 to pi y square dx equal to 1. So y square in this case becomes this one, because y is this, so y square becomes b square sine square nx dx equal to 1. Now simplifying this, you take b square by in place of sine square x, you write 1 minus 2nx, because you know the formula sine square theta equal to 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2. So you apply this formula in this equation. So write this way. So b square by 2 is constant taken outside, and this integral after simplification gives you value of b equal to this. Substituting this value of b in y here in equation number 15, so ultimately you have obtained this value of y, and this is the extremal for the functional given in this statement. Now second example, here find the extremal of the functional which involves two variables y and z, and its first order derivatives, with boundary conditions given over here, subject to this constraint. So in this particular illustrative example, I'm not going to discuss the more details of the solution, which we have already discussed the details several times. So quickly, I'm going to give you the overview for the solution of this. Here, we construct the functional in this way. This is the first part, the functional given over here, and this is the second part, lambda plus this one. So this is the new functional. Because of new functional, you have value of f, and the Euler equation, because case of the two variables, there will be two Euler equation. So after computing these values, partial derivative of with respect to y dash, then with respect to z dash, then partial derivative of f with respect to y, partial derivative of f with respect to z. After calculating all these values and substituting these in equation 4 and 5, equation becomes these. And after solving these, we get value of yx in this way. Here c1 and c2 are arbitrary constant. Again zx in this way. Again c3 and c4 are the arbitrary constants. Now, using the boundary conditions, the value of arbitrary constants comes out to be these. I'm not giving the details of the calculation here, so you can do those calculations. So C1, C2, C3, C4 are obtained over here, and consequently Yx becomes this function and Zx becomes this function. Now again, applying, using these two functions in the constant 2. After simplification, the value of undetermined constant lambda is also obtained, minus 10 by 11, and substituting here, Yx becomes this one and Z equal to x. So this gives the solution of this isoperimetric problem involving more than one variable and their first order derivatives. This is an unsolved exercise for regarding isoperimetric problem with generalizations. For example, this one is regarding the parametric form, and next one is similar to the earlier one. Here is involvement of y and its first derivative. So you can solve this exercise. These exercises we have taken from this book, Gelfand and Forman, Calculus of Variations. Thank you.